छोटे से कमरे में होते हैं और अपने अपने लोग होते हैं। यहाँ इतने विशाल समारोह को देखना, और वो भी एक मीडिया हाउस के समारोह को, और जीवन के सभी क्षेत्रों को स्पर्श किए हुए लोग यहाँ होना, ये अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी बात है।
Hello and welcome viewers, I am Pia and you're watching NewsX World special coverage of the SCO Summit. We continue to track developments from Tianjin in China. We have more information coming in on the bilateral talks that were held between Russian President Vladimir Putin and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The talks have now ended while the Indian PM urged for a ceasefire to take place between Russia and Ukraine. These statements were made in his opening remarks. The talks also focused on preparation for Putin's upcoming visit to India, which is going to take place in December. Russian presidential aide Yuri Yushakov has stated that earlier it was their first in-person meeting this year, although they maintained regular contact via the phone. This is something that President Putin pointed towards in his opening remarks as well. Now, source-based news coming in, reports are indicating further details on the background of the bilateral talks that were held. According to reports, Vladimir Putin desired to travel together with Prime Minister Modi from the SCO conference venue to the bilateral meeting venue, which was a hotel situated at distance from the SCO conference venue. He waited for about 10 minutes so that Prime Minister Modi could then join him. We did see that photograph of the two leaders in the car together. The both leaders traveled together in Vladimir Putin's car. They conversed on various issues. They spent another 45 minutes, according to reports, in the car even after reaching the bilateral meeting venue. So they did have a one-to-one discussion for 45 minutes inside the car even after reaching the bilateral meeting venue. Following this, both leaders had a full-fledged bilateral meeting. There was a delegation-level talk that was held. This went on for over an hour. Meanwhile, at the summit itself, the SCO members have signed the Shenzhen Declaration. All 10 members are endorsing a development strategy for the SCO until 2035. The member states also agreed to accept Laos as a dialogue partner, strengthening the organization's reach as well. We are learning that 24 documents were signed aiming to boost regional security, economic cooperation and strategic partnership in particular. Meanwhile, this is the latest that we are tracking on the broadcast. We have with us Maya Sharma, senior journalist from Bengaluru. We also have Mr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at the Hudson Institute in Tokyo. I'd like to come across to Ms. Maya Sharma first. Interesting bilateral has taken place between the Indian Prime Minister and the Russian President. There are some exclusive details, source-based details that NewsX World has learnt of. The fact that we've seen earlier the picture that Prime Minister Modi had posted on his Twitter account of traveling with the Russian president in his motorcade. It seemed that they traveled from the SCO venue to the bilateral meeting venue, and then they were in that car for 45 minutes talking to each other. PM Modi did openly in his remarks call for a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. Meanwhile, we do know that this meeting is coming at a time when Donald Trump has imposed 50% tariffs against India for buying Russian oil. Russia has recently indicated at a 5% discount as well, and India does not seem to be backing down, does not seem to be bowing towards pressure that the US is exerting. There's a bilateral meeting between Putin and Modi slated to take place in December as well. So where do you see the India-Russia equation heading to next?
Well, India and Russia have, of course, had this close friendship for decades now, and it has been a sticking point with the West at many times. They were very unhappy after the Ukraine war started that India was, in fact, still meeting with Russia, negotiating with Russia, and more recently, of course, the anger that the United States has that Indian closeness to Russia means that it's still continuing to buy Russian oil. Well, a fallout of that was the 50% tariffs which United States has imposed, an additional 25% tariff, specifically because India continues to buy Russian oil. But India has made it clear that this friendship with Russia will continue. Prime Minister Modi did speak in this bilateral meeting about the need for peace in Ukraine. He has talked earlier, of course, that this is not an era for war, that there should be peace in Ukraine. And he has spoken to both Zelensky and Putin regarding this. But it's very unlikely that India will move away from this long-term friendship with Russia. It depends on Russia for so much of its defense equipment. Right now, up to 30% of its oil imports are from Russia. And with the United States relationship being volatile, to put it mildly, it's very unlikely that India will try to tone down its relationship with Russia in any way. And this bilateral meeting, that travel in the car, that the optics of this, the fact that they're going away talking together, it's extremely important. And it is a message being sent out by both countries.
Absolutely. And speaking of the optics, we'd seen earlier in the day as well, there was a small moment between Vladimir Putin, Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping ahead of the leaders meet, the summit itself, where all the leaders had delivered their remarks. That's not all. We're getting more news. We're learning that Chinese President Xi Jinping has delivered the closing remarks, and he's emphasized upon the need to uphold common good of the world and strengthen multilateral cooperation. He's called for closer ties between SCO countries as well as international organizations such as the United Nations and ASEAN, positioning SCO as a pillar in promoting a multipolar world. Xi Jinping has stressed upon opposing hegemonism, power politics and defending international fairness and justice. That's not all. He has announced plans to invite countries to participate in a lunar research station and build an AI cooperation center as well. He has stated that China is committed to expanding photovoltaic and wind power capacity by 10 million kilowatts over the next 5 years, working with SCO states to boost energy, green industry and digital economy cooperation. He's urged for integration, not decoupling, and has also called for promoting inclusive economic globalization, highlighting the SCO region's rich energy resources and large markets. Dr. Nagawa, I'd like to rope you in on this particular point. We've seen Xi Jinping also moot the idea of an SCO development bank. This idea was adopted by all 10 member states of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in the Tianjin Declaration. They've in fact gone a step further. All countries, barring India, they have reaffirmed their support for the BRI as well. So how, in your opinion, does China now eye using this new initiative, a bank that they're going to be creating, the SCO Development Bank, in order to further the Belt and Road Initiative?
Yeah, in this case, we should remember what happened in the past. China say this is a good infrastructure project and you should receive it. But after that, a huge debate has created the recipient, and China takes the right to control this infrastructure. Hambantota port in Sri Lanka was a good example. So now China say, this is good for you, this is a multipolar world China is seeking. But the reality is China's policy is China first, and expanding influence of China is important course they are seeking. And in the SCO, China is forming the group against Western world or other some global South countries. So that's why what China really did indicate what China will do. So that's why on surface this is beautiful, but indeed this is not, is my opinion.
Indeed, and you know, speaking of the BRI, we do know that the interest rates that the Chinese have outlined for lending money for these infrastructure projects is quite high. Many critics have often pointed to what they coin as debt trap diplomacy on China's end. We've seen what's happened in Sri Lanka with the Hambantota port. We've seen what's happened as far as Nepal owing a lot of money to China is concerned as well. We've seen the CPEC project in Pakistan not really make much headway. So in this context, how do you think China plans to reinforce confidence in its partners regarding the BRI?
Indeed, creating a good reputation with the partner is not the purpose of China's infrastructure project. Because where China is investing in the Indian Ocean region indicate that, for example, the infrastructure development happen from the Middle East through the Pakistan to China, Middle East, Myanmar to China, Middle East, the Indian Ocean side of the island, the Malay Peninsula, and the South China Sea side of the Malay Peninsula, the both areas, China is building the port and connected by train. So all of these routes indicate that this is the route to bring the oil from Middle East to China. So that's why on surface China say in the BRI, this is infrastructure project for the local people. But reality is, this is constructing a route for China, only for China. So this is China first policy, not for locals. So that is the reason when China say the beautiful word, simply the countries should not trust, must not trust. Because China is seeking their national interest, and this is not for the local or recipient countries. That has happened, that will happen. That is current Chinese government.
All right.
I think this is in reality.
All right, I request our guests to stay on with us. We're tracking more news and updates from Shenzhen at the moment.